Jamal Douglas. Yes, the title of the film is The Quiet Room, and I play Michael. The Quiet Room is it follows Michael, who after a failed suicide attempt awakens this psych ward demon named Hattie, and he...
Oh, don't tell me too much.
Oh, that's not too much.
Okay.
That's not too much. This is
Spoiler free. This is...
You a little bit. A little bit. I mean, it's in the program. It says exactly what I'm saying now. And so he finds himself in the fight for the lives of those around him and his own. And so we'll see what happens through that journey. Yeah.
How'd you get involved with this film?
I auditioned for Sam Wyman for this film. He was actually in grad school at Chapman, and I auditioned for him. And it was it was the best audition I think I've ever had in my life, because after I auditioned, there was just this silence in the room. And I looked at Sam, and he looked at me, and we both were just like shook.
You're intense.
And then I left.
Yeah, I can tell. Oh.
And so that's how I got involved with the film. It was beautiful because this story is very close to Sam Wyman's life, and it's very close to my life as well, because my brother suffers from mental illness. And my brother came to see the film in New York when we screened it about a year ago, and he said, "Were you playing me?" And then he smiled at the end because he saw himself in horror in this role and was able to relate in a beautiful way. And so I hope that people relate to it in that similar way, and we can start some conversations about horror, LGBTQ, mental illness through this genre film, and change some things in our world.
Obviously, you have a very personal experience with it. How is that going?
It's going really, really wonderful. I think me and Sam and I both, we have gotten to conversations about this film that we didn't even expect when we were creating this film. And so it's elevated the conversation on mental illness. It's also elevated the conversation on diversity in film. Sam saw me, a young black boy with locks, within his story, something that's very personal to him. And I was talking to him about a month ago, and I was saying to him, I said, that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of times we don't see other faces or other races or other religions or other beings within our stories. And so we isolate ourselves oftentimes in media and in life. And so for him to see me within his story and allow me to do this and tell his story has been beautiful, and the conversations have been beautiful as this has been going on. Black LGBTQ, I identify as bisexual, leading this film. We're changing things. We need to see all these different faces. And lastly, a thing that's great about this film is that Michael happens to be gay, but this film isn't about Michael being gay. It's about his life. And I think that as we grow as a society, that we need to start telling our human stories and the beauty of those, and not continue to, once the trend goes away, that it becomes normal to tell our stories and to just be who we are. I got my Master's of Fine Arts in Acting at the University of San Diego, Old Globe Graduate Acting Program. And so, yeah. Woo!
This is the 20th FilmOut San Diego Film Festival.
Yes.
20 years.
Yes.
And so there's been an evolution over those 20 years, over the amount of stories, visibility, our ability to go stream live right now. We're actually live on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, we're over there. But, we can do these things. We can tell our stories. We have access to these stories. But at the same time, it's not perfect.
It's not perfect at all. And I think as long as we continue to shout out, as long as we can just shout out and tell our story, this is my big thing. I tell people that we're not done until all of our stories are told. We all have a very...
Can you repeat that?
We're not done until all of our stories are told, and that's very important. Each of our stories are important, and there's similarities, but they're minute differences that opens up a whole world of conversation that the world needs to hear. So tell all of our stories.
What has to change? Because it's been 20 years, and we're not done telling all of our stories.
Yeah, we need to listen to one another. I mean, right now, in America, it's a lot of arguing and fighting, but we're not listening a lot. We've kind of become divided again by choice. And I think that you have to be willing to face someone and breathe and listen to someone that you don't agree with. Because the more that we listen to one another, the more we open up the doors for others to listen to us. And it's hard because we disagree so passionately. But if we choose not to sit there and listen to ignorance, if it is that, or enlightenment, if it is that, then we miss opportunities to grow as a people. And change happens when we sit and we listen to one another and let each other finish before we speak.
I was just about to interrupt. And it's getting really deep because... It's so deep because we're talking about this, and the title of your film is The Quiet Room, which connotes silence, which connotes not communicating. And isolation. And yet, the answer is communication. It is listening to each other, and something that obviously you're doing through this film. Yeah. You're helping communicate to others the LGBT experience and the minority experience.
Absolutely, and I'm learning because, like, just from having this conversation and having this interview, like, things are opened up for me that I might not have thought of from a question that I never thought of. And so that's why we do this thing called film and entertainment and media and theater, because we're opening up conversations and we all learn. It's a cycle of learning. We made this film, but we don't know everything. We're learning as we continue to do the festival circuit and to be in spaces like this where we can communicate about these things. So Brent Bailey is also on the A's life cycle with Sam right now. They have 75 miles down to LA, so that's why they're not here today. And cinematography was beautiful in this film, and also the makeup for our demon figure done by Lainey was also amazing. And the visuals are beautiful and stunning. I can't speak too much about it because, like, I'm talent and I don't know much about the technical aspects. I wish Brent was here to speak about some of those things, and Lainey as well. But my mind was blown. I'm the guy on set that's always hanging with the DP, hanging with the crew, hanging with the producers so that I can learn what's going on behind the scenes. And so I was learning a lot about the big machine it takes to make a small film like this. I was like, whoa. And so I wish I could speak more on those things, but, like, my mind was blown. And I wish I had the expertise to speak more about those things, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
What words of wisdom can you offer to somebody out there who wants to make their film, who wants to act, who wants to try something different, and that's maybe a little bit, hesitant because they think, well, nobody really wants to hear my story?
Start. You have to start. You have to begin it. And oftentimes fear makes us not do anything. We don't move because we're afraid that we're not valuable enough or we don't know enough. So you have to make that first step to learn. I went to college for acting, got my Bachelor's of Fine Arts at Arcadia University, and I got my Master's of Fine Arts here at University of San Diego, Old Globe. And so I've been acting for a long time and I've been training for a long time. So I say, if you think that you don't have the tools, ask someone. Get into a class, ask a friend, learn, go.
And there's no excuse now not to know, right? Because there's so many resources.
It's okay not to know. Ask. There's so many resources out there. So for anyone who feels like they can't do it, you can. Begin the story. And then this is like an old Baptist church saying, you don't want no yes ma'am people around you. You want people around you who are going to tell you the truth. So you don't want people to just tell you that, oh, that's great, that's great, that's great. You want people who are going to ask you important questions to move your artistry, to move your story forward, to reach people in the best way through you. So ask questions and have people around you that challenge you and your perspective with your art. And a lot of times you might say, oh yeah, I definitely still believe what I believe about this art and what I wrote here, what I did here. Or you might say, oh, I didn't think about that, and that's important. And so get people around you that's going to hold you accountable and lift you up as kings and queens, It's going to be amazing.
So what challenged you about this film?
I think because it was so close to home, the film is about a suicide attempt, and that's been very personal to my life. I've lost family through suicide, and my brother has, dealing with mental illness, has not wanted to be here plenty of times. And so it was hard because I had to really go into my life and what has happened in my life and around me in order to bring Michael to life. Like, I couldn't run away from it. So that was the most challenging thing, but the beautiful thing about it is that I fell in love with my brother more through doing this film and through telling this story. And family that I've lost by way of suicide, I feel like I got closer to them through playing the story because I had to actually put on the shoes and learn about what they were going through. And that made me feel in a deeper way for people who deal with that battle. And so that was my biggest challenge, is real life meeting cinema. That's everything. I love y'all. Thank you for being here. The Quiet Room, this is a beautiful festival. Everyone continue to grow, love yourselves, be yourselves, no matter how hard it is, step by step. You're wonderful, you're beautiful. That's all I got to say.
Cool. Please have your ticket or your lanyard ready for us to see you on your